cost of building products is much lower. Now, I'm not saying you shouldn't take the big money and you shouldn't go after the Series A and B. If you have a big idea, if you have obviously great customer acquisition, it may be that big VC is your best bet, and some of those people are extremely good at going after large markets. But you should also try and preserve an opportunity to keep smaller exits on the table. Why? Because there's more of them. The other thing that is happening is there are many internet companies who are now mature, have lots of money, lots of users, and may have a problem with internal innovation. So for the eBays, Yahoos, Amazons, Googles, Microsofts of the world, they may be buying companies for talent, they may be buying companies for product reasons, but there's lots of reasons why they might outsource that innovation to startups. Another thing that's happening is non-technology companies are starting to acquire internet companies. Why? Because their customers are moving online. So if you're P&G, Procter & Gamble, if you're Nike, if you're some other non-technology, travel, social, whatever company, if you look at a magazine rack, look at the 100 popular most magazines there, choose your sector. There's a consumer-focused company that's $1 billion in value, public company, and probably half, if not more than half of their market is online. Probably 5 to 15% of their sales are online, moving to 20 to 30%. They don't know shit about building products for the web, largely speaking. What are they going to do? Well, it's hard for them to hire that talent, but they might acquire companies at $25 to $100 million who've proven that they've understood a product, that they've proven they understood a market, and have online distribution figured out. That might be a great alignment of incentives for them to acquire a small team of 10 to 50 people who understand a market and help teach them about Web 2.0 distribution models. So I think we're going to see more of that in the future. Case in point, Mint.com, acquired by Intuit. Now you would think Intuit is a technology company. Sort of. It's really a personal finance company. What Intuit saw was that Mint was being very successful going after a better way to either design products, build products, go after customers. They had gotten to about 1 million customers, 1 million users, I guess I should say. Mint wasn't charging people at the time. And Intuit felt that they were seeing impact on their line of products around Quicken. So they acquired the company, basically gave Aaron Patzer, the founder, ability to sort of oversee a lot of their consumer finance products. And for $170 million, Aaron had a great payday. Some of the team also had some good outcomes. That company raised a lot of money. They raised a $36 million C round, but they really had only spent about $5 to $10 million of funds raised initially. The product was built on about $1 to $3 million. Initial customer acquisition was happening for maybe $3 to $5 million. So here's a case of a company building and acquiring customers on product, less than $10 million spent out the door, sold for $170 million in about 3 years. This is going to be the model you're going to be seeing more of. Quick product development, customer acquisition focused spending, getting to some level of interest from a larger company, and then acquired probably between the range of $50 to $250 million. The number of companies that are acquired north of $250 million, very small. Really hard, really not very good odds. Great for the people who are going after that, and there is still a market for that, but your odds are much lower. Okay, lastly, we'll talk about this change. Spray and pray is what I'm usually accused of doing, largely by those who do not. And I will say we're still trying to figure this out. So doing 100 investments a year is not for the faint of heart. With the exception of Ron Conway and maybe Paul Graham, not too many people have a lot of experience with that. So even though conceptually these models may make sense, practically speaking, we still have a lot to learn. We will likely make a fair number of mistakes. But as with most things that are worth doing, I like to say, probably worth fucking up the first time. Yeah, anyway, so that's an entrepreneurial phrase. Really, don't be afraid, go try it. If it doesn't kill you, largely most things on the internet won't kill you, you'll learn something. So the point we're trying to do here is quantitative, incremental, and selective investing, focused around product, market, and revenue. What do I mean when I say that? At incubation, we're largely focused on building a functional product for a non-zero number of customers who are not your mom. Make it useful for some number of people. Hopefully useful means they'll pay you for it. Once you actually get to the point of understanding that the product is functional at some level, you then want to start to scale up and understand customer acquisition. How big is the market? Who will pay for it? What does it cost to acquire those customers? What will I generate in revenue from those customers? How quickly can I generate that revenue? Can I make money at some scale that's less than 12 months? Am I cash flow positive? Am I not cash flow positive? These questions are very important. That's part of your job as an entrepreneur, is to understand that cost and revenue equation. Once you get that figured out, you should have a strategy then for going after financing at much larger scale and maximizing either growth and revenue. Without going into an extreme amount of detail, at the incubation level, your job is to get to a minimum viable product, something that solves people's problems or maximizes a desire, better than available alternatives. That's the important point that most people forget about. You don't have to be better than anything. You don't even have to be good. You just have to be better than the available alternatives that your customers might know about. If you can do that and have a functional product, proceed. At that point, you're trying to scale up market, see how much of that market you can get, customer acquisition for, at what cost structure, and then see how quickly you can generate revenue from that. That may still be an unprofitable exercise. Hopefully it's profitable at some point. And your funding structure may be based on how long it takes you to acquire those customers and generate revenue from them. Lastly, you're trying to scale up to a large growth situation, maybe that you're scaling up to profitability, maybe that you're scaling up to acquire a large amount of the market. Venture strategies may be different here or there in those cases, but you've identified you have a big market, you have some cost structure awareness under that, and you have some revenue potential under that. So in summary, the operative story of the last 5 years is not a technology story. It is a platform story of distribution and monetization. Right now, it's the Italian Renaissance for entrepreneurs. You have 5 or 6 amazing platforms for customer acquisition. Some of them are good for monetization. You have hundreds of millions of users out there. Potentially, if you localize for international language, you have billions of users out there. 1 billion users are available from your garage with an internet pipe and some local language like focus. That's an amazing thing. It's never been possible before. If you are successful in implementing some functional product use and are aware of the metrics that your customers are using, you can also figure out how to iterate and develop products that your customers actually like. Now note that it's not always going to be small optimizations. You might have to have some relatively metrics focused leap to a non-local max to go after that. But there are many things to be learned from the lean startup movement and a rational process to product development based on metrics from users. Lastly, although there will be a few large funds, there will be probably many smaller funds. The size of the funds will likely be tuned to the size of the exits of those companies, and I would argue that there's many opportunities for funds in the $10 to $100 million size, just as there are many opportunities for entrepreneurs building companies of the $10 to $100 million size as well. I think we're going to pass on some of this other stuff. Global trends. I think it's important to understand language and culture. In particular, global languages right now, Mandarin and English are the 2 major global languages. 2 others that are coming up, Spanish and Arabic. I'm sorry to say to Quebec, French is kind of a global language, but not likely a long-term one. Sorry, that's the reality. It is a good language for economically focused and large numbers of online users, but that's a 3 to 5 year trend. The languages of the future: English, Mandarin, Spanish, Arabic. Maybe Hindi, we'll see. Another interesting thing about that, the Mandarin-speaking market, 10% of it will be outbound to the rest of the world. Amount of air travel, retail travel, education that Mandarin speakers will be having outside their own country is absolutely phenomenal. That is a global trend. Doesn't matter where you are, they are coming. If you can build products and solutions in their languages, they will buy some from you. Same thing for India, probably 5 to 10 years out, maybe 15 years out. We'll see. I would always recommend, although those global markets are large and attractive, if you don't speak those languages, you're at a disadvantage. So, what does that mean? Go there or develop for your own local market first. So, I continually face this when I talk to entrepreneurs from Japan, Germany, France, other developed economies of 50 to 100 million users or not. They're afraid of their own markets. They're ashamed of their own markets not being big enough. Again, same thing with building before for small markets, small customer bases. No one's coming after you in your own local market. You're not competing with the rest of the world for your own local market. So fucking kill it! There's plenty of people there. They're online. They're going to spend money. Go kill your local market first. It's much easier. If you don't want to do that, move to China or move to the US. Sorry, those are the two options. Optimize locally or get your ass and go to the other large markets. You can still do it remotely, but you better damn well know that language and culture. Really, really important. Some of us are working on making immigration easier for many of you who want to do the first part. But do not ignore your own local markets. You don't need to be in Silicon Valley. But the ethics, the dreams, and the imagination of Silicon Valley need to be in you. That is a global phenomenon. Nobody in Silicon Valley is any smarter, any better than you guys. In fact, many of them came from the same places you came from. So don't have any inferiority complex about Silicon Valley. You are just as good. In fact, you're better. You're more in touch with the customer. So kill it. Lastly, if you know, it's very hard for me to scale individually, so please don't pitch me. Get to know somebody who's in our portfolio if you want to go after us. There's at least 130 mentors right now, and we've funded over 100 companies, so there's probably 200 founders. So I'm sure that you can find someone in our network who has domain expertise in an area you're interested in. Please pitch them first if you want to get to us. I think we'll probably take questions once Howard's up here, but thank you for your time.